Hey guys, Doug McIntyre, Fox Sports soccer writer, and the draw for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar just finished. We know who the United States men's national team is going to play in their first World Cup appearance in 8 years. Sort of. Only two of the three opponents were learned on Friday. They're going to play England. They're going to play Iran. A lot of history between those teams in the World Cup. The U.S. playing England in 1950. They beat them in probably the biggest upset in World Cup history. The teams met again in 2010. That was a 1-1 tie. And of course, Iran upset the United States in 1998. But again, that first match, very interesting because the U.S. doesn't know its opponent yet. It's going to be Wales versus the winner of Ukraine or Scotland in the European playoff. Interesting because if it's Wales or Scotland, both of those teams play kind of like England does. They're very physical, they play very direct, and England's the second match, so good preparation there. But overall, a manageable group for the U.S. Most of the groups are manageable. Really, the only group that could be even close to considered a group of death is Group H, where you have Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Two of those teams are going to go home. But overall, really interesting draw, a fascinating draw for the U.S. on a lot of levels. Politically, with England and Iran, we know the history there off the field as well. You're always going to get a strong team from pot one. England, one of the World Cup favorites by a lot of estimations, coming off a semifinal finish in 2018. Of course, they went to the final of the Euros last summer, but the U.S. is not going to fear England at all. I think that's a team of all the big European teams that they want to play. Again, a lot of history between the countries, similar language, and a good matchup. I mean, England's a team that's physical like the U.S., and the U.S. is going to want to prove themselves against a team that, there's going to be a lot of eyes on at the World Cup. It'll be interesting to see how the U.S. prepares for this tournament. Greg Berhalter, the U.S. coach, talked about wanting to play teams from different continents. The U.S., in part because of the pandemic, limited mostly the CONCACAF teams over the last 2 years. Of course, just finished qualifying a few days ago. So they're going to want to play a European opponent this summer. They'll have another opportunity in September. That's the last opportunity for teams around the world to play friendly matches before the World Cup. Again, because it's a November start time this year, and European leagues will be in season. The MLS season will just have finished. There's no time for preparation matches or long training camps going into the games. So those friendlies in the summer for the U.S. and in September are going to be really important to make sure that they hit the ground running in Qatar. U.S. has an excellent chance to get out of the group. You have to think England and the U.S., the two strongest teams. Of course, we don't know one of the opponents, but Iran's certainly beatable. And again, the U.S. has never lost to England. England will be the favorite in that game, but the U.S. Will go into that match without pressure on them because of it. So they would love to pull off an upset. And yeah, the U.S. has an excellent chance to advance from this group for the third time in 4 tournaments. They got out in 2010. They survived the group of death in 2014. Of course, they didn't qualify in 2018, but they're going to be looking to make up for that this November. So that's the situation for the U.S. following the draw. It's starting to feel real now. We know the schedule. We know the opponents, or at least we know 2 of the 3 opponents. And everyone's looking forward to those games. We can't wait for the World Cup to kick off on November 21st.